Welcome children and adults to the opening of the children's wing of the Afro History Museum of Cartersville, Georgia. This wing is named in honor of an ancient African queen, one of importance both globally and culturally to all persons, Queen Tiye of Egypt's 18th dynasty. Queen Tiye was the daughter of a charioteer commander, and her mother was superintendent of the harlots of ancient Egypt, so she was used to court and court life. Queen Tiye became the wife of Nebmar Amenhotep III and mother of King Amenhotep IV, and she is also the grandmother of the most famous king, King Tutankhamun. She supported her husband and co-ruler when he instituted monotheism in ancient Egypt, and she also supported her grandson when he repudiated monotheism, went back to polytheism in ancient Egypt. And all this was done with very little civil unrest. People didn't go to war over this. It was just something that was implemented by the leadership and then changed by the leadership. Queen Tiye's likeness is found everywhere in ancient Egypt. She is depicted in the temple of Medinet Habu in Luxor, Egypt. She is considered by historians a central figure of her time. She was basically, at that time, she co-ruled with her husband, the pharaoh, but she also was pretty much the Secretary of State. We have records and texts from her, texts meaning ancient manuscripts, where they address her directly. And we're talking about leaders of foreign nations. So this is not someone just playing a part. This is someone who is getting things done and taking care of Egyptian affairs of state. It is said, and that information comes from blackstar.com. Queen Tiye's name is carved in tablets, and I talked about the ancient text where you can find her name, and she was buried in the Valley of the Kings. So this is basically a commoner. By the end of her life, was so esteemed that she was buried with the royal families, basically. In her depictions, Queen Tiye is distinctly African, indeed Nubian, which speaks to the regions and the origins of Egypt itself. Remember that Egypt comes out of a Nubian African kingdom and then becomes later on very multicultural. But its first incarnation was as an extension of Africa. There are more depictions of Queen Tiye than any other African woman from antiquity. That means Cleopatra and the warrior princess Zinga. And this information is coming from ancient.eu. Her important role as a leader for 3 generations. Remember, she was the grandmother of a pharaoh, the wife of a pharaoh, and she gave birth to a pharaoh. Okay, so it's 3 generations. Cannot be understated. She is also a representative of the revered mother figure that is common in both African American cultures and African cultures. Africans come from a culture where women were able to wield power, and Tiye did that. Women could be leaders, they could be merchants, queens, warriors, traders, thinkers, and of course, effective commoners. By that I mean good citizens. And Queen Tiye exemplifies these traits, which are as ancient as Africa herself. We at the Afro History Museum of Cartersville are pleased to honor her by naming our wing for children after her. As an Egyptian woman and with African history, we know that people who come to this hall will understand Tiye's importance and her relevance for us today, and why we chose her among so many women we could have chosen. Because we feel that she harkens to the very beginning stages of women leadership, especially in the political realm. We hope that by naming our hall after a stalwart woman, that she will serve as an inspiration and give admiration for generations to come. It is our desire that visitors to the Children's Wing will find wisdom in our many treasures that we have here, that their intelligence will be enriched, that historical research will be provided, and that in general knowledge of the people of Africa will be given. The African diaspora, from the Moors to North Africa to the Zulus of South Africa to Kush and to the Ghanaian kingdoms, and of course Egypt, will all be here for you to study as you enter the Tiye Hall. All human roots, as we know, are African in origin. All of us, whether we come from Europe, Asia, Latin America, our roots come out of Africa. And so that is why we're pleased to honor Ty in the naming of our wing as a benefit to mankind from the early hominids on down. Thank you. Thank you. And we know that you will enjoy our wing. We will begin processing you for a tour in just a moment.